Welcome, everyone, to Conversational Witchcraft with me, Dawn the Kitchen Witch. Before we get going, make sure you subscribe to this channel. And if you love what we're doing, you can now support us by clicking the Support Us link and help us bring you more great information and inspiration and great conversations. And don't forget to learn more about me and food magic and the power of kitchen witchery by visiting me directly at cucinaaurora.com. Okay, so we have some really fun people here today, and I'm very excited to have them because it's really just an excuse for me to hang out with my friends. Today, we have Keria and Matt, who are best known together as Rovers Way, a folk music duo traveling and performing at fairs and festivals all over North America. Both of these nomadic musicians have Celtic and Norse pagan backgrounds and beliefs, which come through in their music. Since finding the path of the magical nomadic life, they spend their days growing as musicians and living their best damn lives. Okay. Yes. Yes. Hashtag best damn life. This is Keria and Matt. Welcome. So happy to have you. Oh, we finally hit the record buttons because we were just like catching up for the last 15 minutes, right?
It's been a while.
I know.
Way too long.
I know, so long. So we met at New York Ren Fair. Did we meet at New York Ren Fair?
Actually, we met, I think
I think both of us met you at like some convention in the Northeast before that.
I put you maybe in a corset when I was working for Pendragon.
Nice.
And I'm the one that sold your hubby on a shield vet.
Yes.
That's
so
funny.
I want to say that was an event by the He Who Shall Not Be Named.
Yes, most likely.
Yeah.
Yes. And in New Jersey. Yes. I believe that's where we first met you, Matt, for sure. Yes, a long time ago in a hotel far away. Princeton, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, now that I remember, I think he did put me in a corset.
I did.
My goodness.
We had a lot of fun at that.
It's a good show. It's another time. Matt, were you at that time? So we're literally talking like maybe 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. At
2017, 2018, something
so
like that.
Were you at that time already playing music?
Yeah, I've been playing music. I mean, I've been singing since I was like 5 years old, but I've been performing music at Ren fairs 25 years at this point. Like getting paid to do it for like the past since like 2010.
And how is that possible, being that you look like you're 26?
I know, right?
Right.
So there's a phenomenon in the Renaissance Festival world. We call it Rennie syndrome. And there are two extremes. You either look far younger than you are, just like so frustratingly.
Because real talk, I'm 43. So
or you have looked 60 since you were 22.
Yeah.
Those are the options.
I have seen this happen to many Ren Fair folk, and I hope that I am somewhere in the middle of that, because I've always kind of looked 40. Like when I was 20, I looked 40, and now I'm in my 40s. I feel like I look like I'm in my 40s, but then I hope that when I'm in my 60s, I still look like I'm in my 40s. So I
love that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, you have looked this way
the same
since as long as I've known you.
Yeah. It's all the olive oil. So. It's all the olive oil.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah. It's good for the skin.
Yeah. It's good for the skin. So you've been singing and doing music. What was your first, Matt? What was like your first introduction into music?
Church. My dad was a Southern Baptist preacher. And there's a you like if you're ready for some tea into this journey from preacher's kid to
something
pagan. Let's do it. Do it.
So I came up in the Southern Baptist church, and I came up singing the old hymns and all that. I mean, but also my mom has a master's degree in classical piano. So I have that to fall back on top of also my grandfather on her side being a bluegrass fiddler who played the honky tonks in central Louisiana back in the 40s.
Wow. So it's in your blood. Music is in your blood.
Really is.
Wow. Okay. So like, I really want to know about the growing up in this very, conservative.
You ready to? Yeah, you're ready
I
to
want to.
unpack that.
I want to know about that, but I want to bounce over to Keira a little bit too,
Oh,
because
yeah,
I want to
sure.
know, like, Keira, were you always doing music as well?
Absolutely not. No, I mean, I did like, I played clarinet when I was in like elementary school, and I always did like chorus in like school, but I
Right.
was never like a shining star. And like, I had a terrible band teacher in 6th grade, and she's the reason I stopped playing in 6th grade, because she was just so mean and horrible.
What's her name? Let's blast her
I
all over the
honestly
internet.
couldn't even begin to remember. I
Even
was just
better.
like,
Even better. What revenge? You can't remember who she
yeah,
was.
so
Good.
meaningless to me now. And so yeah, I did chorus and whatnot, but I had always just been really like stage frighty,
Yeah.
like intensely stage frighty, to the point that like as recently as 2019, if I tried to get on stage with Matt to do something, it felt like I was going into anaphylaxis, like couldn't breathe, freaking out.
Is that attached?
Yes, it's attached.
Wow.
So it's honestly shocking to me every day that now for a living I get up on stage and sing and play music.
It's incredible. And do you also have like your background in terms of like your spiritual and religious upbringing? Was that also like strict and confining like Matt's was, or was it a little bit more? Because you grew up
not.
here on the East Coast, right?
I did. I grew up in Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
I grew up Roman Catholic.
I'm a recovering
So,
Catholic as well.
Yeah. The Roman Catholic girl to pagan girl pipeline is strong.
Strong. Yes, it sure is.
Although I recently, it was like semi-recently, I was listening to a podcast from our good friends over in the Pacific Northwest, and they were talking to maybe like a Catholic nun, or somebody who had been a Catholic nun, or maybe somebody who lived with Catholic nuns. I don't know. Somebody who was like visiting specifically with Irish Catholic people.
Wow.
And like they were talking about how their like relationship with Catholicism as a pagan was like healing, and they were like, oh, like maybe this isn't as disparate as like it needs to be. Yeah, it was neat. And I was like, oh, cool, because like, I don't know, some of that stuff from my childhood like feels appealing still.
Agree. I grew up like really, really Roman Catholic,
Mhm.
and Italian Roman Catholic, like people like, but there's so many intersections between like Italian folk magic and Catholicism and saint worship and prayer and superstition and kitchen witchery that I there's actually a couple of people I know that are like Catholic, like Roman Catholic witches that kind of work with Roman Catholic saints, but then also like the folk magic. It's very cool. I think that's one of the things that I found very appealing about the pagan path and the path of witchcraft is how you can kind of make spiritual soup, right? Like take there's a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a dash of that and mix it all up, and that's what I believe in, And I think the freedom of that is what's so appealing, especially like as people that grew up in really confining fire and brimstone kind of ideologies. That path of do what you want, just don't fucking hurt anybody. Is very freeing. Would you agree, Matt, with your upbringing?
Oh yeah. I mean, so yeah, I came up in some, Southern Baptism is like not the most conservative of the Christian Protestant sects, but it's real up there. I mean, fortunately, while my dad was incredibly conservative, he was not on the, as he called it, the glassy-eyed fundamentalist side of the spectrum. He because he had his doctorate in theology, and he got his doctorate from the New Orleans seminary. So he got to spend a lot of time in New Orleans amongst a very Catholic city, that is like an island in a sea of Protestantism. Very conservative Protestantism. And so he actually got to he adopted a fair amount of Catholic tradition, because he hung out with a lot of priests and like got to chat with them on a a theological basis as opposed to just talking ideals. They really shared a lot of their thoughts and theories and all that. So he was educated in that way, but it was also very much I remember very clearly in youth group there was like a whole series of study groups on the different religions and why they were wrong. And
Oh.
that hit me hard, super hard.
Oh.
And I was just like, because previously I had taken a course when I lived in Memphis, Tennessee. I went to an optional school for international studies, and one of the elective courses I could take was world religion. And it was taught by somebody who was very open and gave you a lot of really good, unbiased knowledge of Buddhism and paganism and a lot of the other different sects and religions and Hinduism and all of that from a completely unvarnished point of view. So I came in with that knowledge, and then they were telling me this, and I'm like, that's not how this works. It's not right.
Right.
And then I came into Ren Fair when I was in high school, and that's when I started seeing a lot more paganism in my life and going,
As people that you know, love Renaissance fairs, I think there's a lot of even now, I think it's much cooler now than like when I started going to Renaissance fairs when I was, in high school. I was like, oh, is there, one of those weirdos that goes to Ren Fair? And I'm like, fuck yeah. I fucking love Ren Fair. Are you kidding me?
It's the coolest place ever.
It's the coolest place ever. It's literally walking into every fantasy I've ever had, like everything. But it's always very interesting to me how the Renaissance fairs are an intersection of paganism, different types of paganism, and also queer culture, and also nerd culture, and all these different things that sort of and kink culture, like they all overlap into this one place because we're all a bunch of weirdos who just want to get dressed up and have fun in a space that is welcoming, loving, and protected, and yet outside of our regular reality. Would you agree?
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Ren Fair is definitely has definitely historically been like a space of otherness, I feel. And like it's very interesting right now because Ren Fair is very much more in the public eye because of like TikTok and social media. It's gotten very popular in like the cottagecore sort of like genre. And so seeing Ren Fairs become more popular and more visited by more like people that wouldn't maybe have known about it beforehand is wild to watch real time.
Yeah. And like the culture is changing, with things like Game of Thrones and Witcher and all these shows that became really popular. And like I remember being in high school and being like, D&D is so cool, and everybody was like, you're fucking weird. And now everybody's like, D&D is the best thing ever.
Everybody's like everybody just D&D everywhere. Meanwhile, I'm over here going, but Shadowrun, y'all.
Shadowrun exists.
I was a huge Magic the Gathering kid. Like, like I had all my Magic cards, and I for like a solid year of my life, I was like obsessed with collecting my Magic cards. So like I feel like we were doing as the elders. Because we're the elder Rennies now, right? It's really interesting to see all those people come through the Renaissance fairs. And do you think that those spaces could be these gateways to understanding and being introduced to things that are, different from that mainstream? There are places where people are finding pagan ideas or fantasy writing or comfortable spaces. Like, how do you feel about that, and is that something you're really happy to be a part of?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, one thing we have always tried to do in our show is provide an inclusive a positive inclusive space.
Yeah, because I feel like there are kind of like two kinds of like types of musicians currently like out at Ren Fair. You've got like the folksy yolksy musicians, and they tend to be the older ones, I feel like. And then like a lot of the younger people are going for like a much more like hard like vibe and sound.
Yeah, very, very tribal, very thumpy.
Very like, which is not necessarily negative, but like it
can be a little
often,
aggressive.
Yeah, it's a little aggressive, maybe a little like not like it's not giving comfy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I like that, and people have commented, I think, that like we are some of the like notable musicians who are like providing like a positive like light show, I get like lighthearted welcoming show versus something that's like or boo or punk or like whatever.
Space for both.
Yeah.
We like being on the other side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
I mean, I've personally seen your show, and it's so good, and you're such fucking talented musicians. I'm actually really shocked to hear you say, Keria, that you came into music late. Like I'm not surprised that Matt has been playing his whole fucking life, but I'm not. I live with a musician who's been playing his whole fucking life, so I'm not surprised. Like I get that, but I'm actually really surprised that you came into this late. And I do have a little memory of maybe it was in 2019 where maybe you were just starting to like play the flute or something, the whistle with Matt. And I remember you coming into my booth at the New York Rent Fair and being like, "It's my first time. I'm gonna shit my pants." Like I feel like you were like I feel like you were so nervous, and then you went and did the show, and you came back, and you're like, is that? Am I remembering that right?
Oh yeah,
no, you're correct.
That was great.
Yep, yeah, you're correct.
Yeah, and you did it, and it was amazing. I'm interested to know from your point of view, from both of you, like so we haven't really got yet into the nomadic lifestyle that you lead, right? So I kind of want to pivot a little bit and talk about what drew you. So obviously we know you love being at the Ren fairs, you love playing your music, you know all these things, but what's really fascinating about you guys is that and it's evident in the name of your musical entity, Rovers Way, right? You are basically blazing a path for yourself as humans in the world, as musicians in the world. Everything you do is so solely your own. No one else is doing things quite the way you are, living quite the way you are, and making a living quite the way you are. So I'm curious about how you made the leap from like, I don't know, vanilla life, you know? Do you know what I mean? Like vanilla, or as Justin would say, the normies, the normies. Like how did you make this leap? How, but also more importantly, why? Why make the leap from, being in one place like most of us are in one place and then going and coming back versus no, we're going to be turtles and we're going to carry our home with us and be at home wherever we are. Why and how?
I mean, so we made the decision in 2018 and 2018 was a massively pivotal year for us.
A lot of upheaval.
We like, are you comfortable just diving in?
Let's do it.
Okay. I just wanted to check in. Yeah. So we had been previously married to other people, and we're in a polycule together, the four of us. And early 2018, we finally were like really communicating about sort of long-term life wants that weren't like matching up necessarily in our marriages, but they were matching up for our spouses in their relationship. And so we started talking about shifting the primary situation and like finding how to, get everyone the life that they wanted. And I think in that you really realized how much you wanted to be focusing more on music as a career.
Yeah, I mean, I'd been job hopping at that point since we moved up to New York, like 2015. I pretty much it's like I started like when we moved up there, I was like working for a grocery store, but then I found a brewery job because I was brewing down in Texas. and then I was working conventions, and then I became a granola roaster. Like, so many things happened, but all of it during that time period, I was always playing music. And I'd been a professional full-time musician far before that, and I just missed it a lot. But it's a hard life. Like, music, independent small music it's, you've got to make some certain choices when you decide this is what I want to do.
So I think amidst that upheaval, you were just like, what if we did this? And I was just like, definitely, fuck it, let's do it. Like, I luckily just serendipitously landed a fully remote job at the time,
which is unusual for 2018 because
right,
most jobs were in person before the pandemic, and that really fully remote situation that's much more of a recent conventional thing.
Yeah. So like, just serendipitously, I landed that job like right as, like, me and his ex were switching houses and doing stuff. So that was interesting. We went like RV shopping and kind of looked around. And then the one we liked, we saw it in March, and in September it was still on the lot. So he was like, hey, like, this has been here a while, can you cut a deal? And we got it for a deal that September.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So from there, this kind of adventure life took hold, right?
Yeah. And we just he, at the time, obviously I wasn't performing, and he just put his brain out into the universe, and his, texty thumbs, to contact your connections.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I'd been performing at regional, like as a regional performer at festivals for a long time. Like, I started here in Texas, and I performed a lot of shows in Texas, and I moved to New York and started establishing myself in New York. And I had a decent connection base and people that were, had been doing this as well, that had been doing it full time and on the road. And so I contacted them, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to do this. Who do I do this? How do I do this? So they kind of gave me a roadmap. And so I started I put together a packet and started sending it out to people. And in that first year, I was actually very surprised at how much of a circuit we were able to put together in that first year.
Yeah, we had before we got on the road, you had Florida, Sherwood. And Scarborough.
Florida, Sherwood, and Scarborough. Yeah.
Like, already booked, which is basically a half a year.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 months. It's really, really incredible, knowing the world, knowing that sort of Ren Fair circuit, and knowing how hard that work is, especially being that what you're doing is creating art, and you said before, Matt, doing independent music is, I mean, it's really not for the faint of heart, but I would argue that making your life as an artist, whether it is music or painting or making clothing or whatever it is, you have to have two things, in my opinion. You have to know your worth, right? You have to know your worth, and you have to know that you're providing something of service. So if it's music and you're bringing joy, or it's, painting and you're bringing beauty, whatever that is, you have to know your worth. And I think you also have to be willing to ask for what you're worth.
Sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you guys are able to say, this is what we're worth, and this is what we do, and we're going to not be held down by the convention of, well, we can't do that because we live here.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's like, there are some Ren Fair performers that 100% can, they fly in, do the weekend, fly home.
That sounds more exhausting to me.
It sounds exhausting.
Well, that's why I only do one show. I mean, I can't, I can't do, people like, oh, you should do this when you should. I'm like, I make olive oil. Like, I literally, do you know how hard that shit is to crate someplace? I can't drive it every weekend to Maryland from New Hampshire. You out your mind? At least you're your own product.
Yeah.
So there's a business acumen you must have as well. to be able to book yourself, right? Like that's not easy. That's not easy.
It's an adventure.
Yeah, and like the current, like while we've got a pretty good Ren Fair circuit, we basically have booked out roughly 46 weeks.
Yeah, we're performing about 46 weekends.
Yeah,
that is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay,
like,
listen, seriously, like musicians, okay, be like, I want to be a professional musician. I want to get paid and gig for a living. You're fucking doing that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that whole what's happening right now with you happens to me like once a week. I still am like, what?
How's this my life?
Yep.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Do you think you would be as successful in your music if you were not on the road?
No.
Why?
No, it definitely pushes us to, well, I mean, for me personally, like I never, like, I don't think I ever would have been like, okay, let's leave because I don't have my remote job anymore. Joyfully. They were wonderful, but like
the idea of working 7 days a week
forever was just so very daunting. And so I went from like casually learning to play tunes on the penny whistle to being like, okay, well, let's work on my vocal chops. I'm gonna learn to play boran, the Irish drum. Also, I'm gonna learn how to play bass. And like
and she's got a fiddle coming right now.
Ooh, I'm so terrified.
Wow.
Yeah, like let me brag on this queen for a hot second. In the course of the time that we started doing Rovers Way, when we started workshopping it in 2021, it really was like she's doing a little bit of drum, but mostly was whistle and vocals. And her, like, pro whistle players have been coming up to her all the time telling her how amazing her whistle playing has improved. And then in the course between when we started workshopping 2021, we did the full duo release in 2022. In that time frame, she has picked up bass, and we have an entire set and a half, maybe 2 sets of music on the bass. She's got amazing whistle stuff. We've been doing all this great vocal arrangements.
Even I know my vocals have just gone from like here to like, so like a lot better. A lot of growth. Yeah, I'm feeling a lot more confident with that.
It's incredible because again, you are growing in your art, and as we said in the beginning, living your best damn lives, right? Like, and so you're continuously growing as people. You're continuously growing and thriving as a couple who works together, which is a whole nother conversation. Right? That's a whole nother conversation. You know, I mean, so Justin, my partner, my husband, he is an amazing musician, right? He started playing the guitar when he was like 18, which is actually pretty old, right? For starting something, he started playing like 17, 18 years old. And he plays guitar, he plays bass, he plays mandolin. His main instrument is the bass, and he's been on that for probably the last 12 or 14 years, and he's so fucking good. Nice. But I come from a vocal background and a piano background and musical theater and all that jazz. And once I met him, I was like, well, I'm never doing music again. It's his thing. I don't want to step on any toes. We've never, ever, ever in 24 years together done music together ever. Ever. Wow. So how is the dynamic of the relationship in terms of not just creating musically, right? Because you have a marriage relationship, a romantic relationship. Now you have a creative musical relationship, but you also have a spiritual relationship, and you also have a business relationship because you're creating a brand and a business. How does all this work together, and how does it affect you at the core of your romantic relationship?
I mean,
that's a big question. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot to unpack there.
Do you need a minute?
How does it work? Carefully.
So much communication.
Like all the communication. I mean, and therapy.
An amazing therapist.
An amazing therapist.
Yes. Yes. I love that you said therapy.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
We have an amazing therapist that we need to check in with her.
Yeah, we should.
Because like we Suzanne knows because of our lifestyle and everything. Every now and then we'll be like, all right, we're taking a break for a bit. Taking a break. We'll see you soon. We'll catch up. Like, and it's been a while.
It's been a minute. Yeah,
it's been a hot minute. So, but yeah, like it is a lot of communication, a lot of patience, delegation.
Yeah, and like
especially on the business side of
this
things.
word I think sometimes has like negative connotations, but compartmentalization, like we like, hey, we need to interact like musical partners and business partners right now. This does not have any bearing on how much I love you.
Yeah,
and you know what I mean. So like that's like an important.
Are you getting spicy? Sorry.
Right, and
every now and then you're gonna see me keep looking down because he's getting a little.
Oh, look at his
squirty.
Little face. It's so cute. Mine was all over me right before we hit the record button. And I was like, buddy, you're going to have to go sit in the window because you're rubbing up against the microphone. It's a little too like I can't. It's just and I was like, I understand you're very excited. But I think that the base of and probably how you came into this relationship from your previous relationships taught you that value of communication and compartmentalization, and you've both spent so much time working on your individual selves that you're able to come together and say, hey, this isn't personal, this is about the creative work. Hey, this isn't personal, it's about the business work. Or hey, this is personal, I need to talk to you as my romantic partner, you're kind of being a dick. Like, like I'm sure that it happens. It absolutely happens, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Would you agree that it's that self-work and that self-awareness that allows you that good communication to create in these spaces?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if there wasn't the desire and motivation for active growth, especially like on my part, I know I had a lot of work to do personally, and a lot of trauma to unpack, and a lot of things that I needed to really confront, and bad habits within myself, especially where communication was involved. And that is an ongoing process. And, the old dog must learn new tricks always. So
I'm so grateful you're willing to.
Well, again, I think that it's people don't realize that the best thing they can do for their partner is to take care of themselves. And when you hear that, most people think, oh yeah, I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to eat healthy, or that's not always what we're talking about. The best thing you can do for your partner is to handle your own shit, so that when you're having a meltdown, or you're being a dick, or you're, spiraling out of control, you're able to go, wow, this really isn't about my partner. It's about something in me. Let me look at that and figure that out. I don't think human beings can create art or beauty or success in whatever way they define it without doing that work first. And I think what's so amazing about you guys is that you've done this, and then you've created this entire container of respect, art, music, love, compassion, communication, and you've rolled it up into something you can share with other people. It's it's pretty amazing, right? So on that note, I want to take like a 2-second break, hear from our sponsors, and then we're going to come back, and I want to ask you more about like the music and the magic, the spiritual side of things. Okay.
Yeah,
we'll be right back with Rovers Way after we hear from our sponsors. We are back with Keria and Matt, Rovers Way. So fucking great to have you and to chat with you and just learn about your entire journey. So we've talked a lot about your art, we've talked a lot about your relationship, we've talked a lot about your lifestyle, we've talked a lot about your music, but I'm very interested into the intersection of magic, music, and a nomadic lifestyle. Where and how do these things inform each other?
What a great question.
I know, right?
I feel like the music is like a way of like creating and sharing like magic.
Yeah.
Like, not to be a total nerd, but like being Ren Fair performers, I know on a intellectual level that like we are part of creating a space that is truly magical for people visiting the festival. It might be like one of their, like, it might be the best day of their week, their year, whatever. Living in that long term, it's really easy to lose sight of that. And we like, I feel like we didn't realize necessarily like how much we had lost sight of it until we started frequenting Disney World. Because that place is just so big and magical. And so like as someone who creates that magic on like a smaller scale, I think for me it took going somewhere that could do that for me to be like, oh my God, I do this for other people.
Yeah.
And like, so that like I think really brought a lot of like magic and gratitude back into like what we do, which is so nerdy.
Is so not nerdy. Okay. I used to work at Disney World.
Did you?
What?
Yeah.
Where?
So I worked in the Disney Studios, which at the time was the MGM Studios, and it was before it turned into Hollywood Studios. I was there for the transition to Hollywood Studios, and I just worked in retail. But it was an amazing experience. I learned so much about business and management and that idea of creating this container of magic, this experience. And I'm using magic in the Disney magic kind of way, and not necessarily the witchcraft pagan-y kind of way, but I do think that they dovetail because it is about the energy that you're putting out there. And then I try to, when we're talking about like that, creating that space, that container of experience, I talk to my staff that we have at the Ren Fair, and I'm like, we're selling olive oil and we're selling tomato sauce and we're selling coffee, but we are here to create an experience for the people that are here. And if they decide to buy something, great. But we're really here for them to be part of that, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, walking into your booth and knowing, the kind of environment y'all want to create in that space, it's very similar to how we want to create the environment on stage. And like because one of the main things that has always really been a part of my that has drawn me towards Nordic paganism specifically is the first stanza of the Havamal, the Norse high word, that talks about hospitality and honoring guests and making them feel at home. And that is a big part of our belief structure. And like the magic that we create is in that hospitality. And you can do that in a booth, welcoming people into your space and providing that hospitality. That's its own magic. Doing it on stage, bringing people into that space, and making them feel like they're a part of something is magic. Like
Absolutely.
Capital M magic.
Capital MCK magic, right? Like
you
you really are. I mean, and it's so evident in your energy, right? If someone is going to see you perform, when you kind of walk, and just from my own personal experience, like walking into whatever stage you're at, whatever little alcove they've got you in where you're playing, there's little benches or you're sitting on the ground or whatever, there is this bubble of welcome feeling and that vibration that you're creating. And let's be fair, if you're working in music, you are creating vibration, and people are gonna, their resonance is going to come up to meet you, or you're going to come to meet them. That's all vibrational power and energy. Right. So I definitely think you are creating, like, from my experience, you are 100% creating that welcome, that hospitality that you're talking about. Do you do any sort of ritual itself that would be recognizable to other pagans and witches as a ritual, or is the music and the performance itself the ritual?
I mean, you want to take that?
Yeah, like, I don't think we do, like, we don't do anything like recognizable like that, like in relation to the music per se. I mean, obviously, like, there's sort of inherent ritual in being a performer, and especially being a Renaissance Festival performer, because you are, like, portraying more of a character than, like, if we were just playing at a bar or whatever. And so, like, there is, like, for me, like, putting on my makeup, my stage makeup, and my eyelashes and stuff is all, like, kind of like a preparation to like, it helps me switch from, like, me personally and all the insecurities I have to performer Keria, who is out there to just create the best music she can and, like, gift people a positive experience, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. You are literally putting on your ritual attire, which changes your mindset. Right. I mean, in Kitchen Witchery, I talk about that as like putting on your apron. If you're doing it mindfully, this becomes your ritual attire, which then puts you in a specific, mindset to create this type of energy. Right. I mean, even Matt, you're just putting your guitar on, like, that's magic, like that is preparing your mind to do this work. I think it's amazing.
Yeah. And also comes into, like, some of the script is very much in air quotes for what we do. But, like, we have, certain things, ways that we begin the show, and a lot of that is making sure people feel welcome, because, like, we've tried to make sure that, there's so much of the time you hear the lords and ladies, but we've made sure we try and get lords, ladies, gentledames, we try and incorporate outside of the binary.
Like, the normal greeting at the beginning of our show is like, greetings, lords, ladies, and gentledames, and travelers all.
And that has, it sets an intention. And lately, like, I don't know if you've noticed,
I love your, like, light on our path thing.
Yeah,
I love it.
Perfect. Try to end our show letting people know that they have been a light on our path through our journeys. And
can you expand on that sentiment for us?
Well, I mean, because we are travelers and, like, just trying to get through this crazy life, the people that we encounter that come to our shows, that give us their time, give us their energy. I know I'm getting emotional.
Yes, I understand.
They're sharing their intention and their energy with us, and that helps us so much. So, like, they really are lighting our way, like.
And, like, even because, like, this is a passion and a part of us, but it's also our job. And at many festivals, that includes having to have a hat line. I definitely have made sure that our hat line starts with, "We're so grateful you chose to spend some of your time with us today."
What is a hat line? What is a hat line?
A hat line. So many
people that don't know.
Many festivals across the country pay a day rate based on the assumption that you will also be collecting tips. And so I've noticed musicians tend not to have like a long or a detailed hat line, but variety performers tend to have a very involved hat line. And we pretty intentionally saw that and were like, well, we know variety performers make a better hat. I wonder if this is why. So we kind of workshopped like a more variety-esque hat line. And I would say it's definitely
helps.
definitely shown to be successful. But yeah, so at the end of the show, before we do our last song, you know, we say, sometimes we do a funny joke thing at the start of it, but sometimes we, you know, Matt will just say like, because you all chose to come out here today and spend your time at the, you know, and join us at this festival, we're able to do what we love. And you know, that's
bringing some joy into the world.
Yeah. And then I follow up with this is actually how we make our whole living, traveling the country and bringing this music to those who would hear it. So we're so grateful that you chose to spend some of your time with us today. If you'd like to support us a little more substantially, and you can drop $1 or $2 into the basket, that would be wonderful, yada yada. So it's an indication that, like, yes, we are soliciting tips, but it's felt very important for me to start it with, say, like, the intention that it's not mandatory,
right,
but appreciated.
Right. Yes. I think it's really important because my next question for you guys as we head towards the end of the show is, you know, what are 3 things that, like, things you want to debunk about your lifestyle or Renaissance Fair performers, or things that people would be surprised at? And I think one of those things is probably that, you know, this is your whole living, and, you know, you're not getting paid really to be, I mean, a day rate is like nothing, you know, so, but
it's getting better in general. There is a movement amongst performers our age to be more firm with our worth and
that's fantastic. So what would be 3 things that you think either you want to debunk or that you think people would be surprised to know about your life, your lifestyle?
I've got my number 1 that I want to debunk right now. Oh, so you only work 2 days a week?
Oh, no.
No, I definitely don't. Obviously we have to practice during the week. We have to maintain social media for better or for worse.
Yeah, we try so hard to maintain a good social, to be better about social media.
Same. It's hard. It's the worst.
You are crushing it.
I'm glad you think so. I'm glad you think so, but it is the bane of my existence. People tell us
we're crushing it too. So, like,
yeah,
I'm just like,
it's the bane of my existence. Yeah, it's the worst thing ever.
And like, we're, you know,
you're working all the time
on the calendar. We're, you know,
it's like we've got to maintain our website. We've got to maintain our instruments. We've got to, you know, we're always working on new music or trying to write things, trying to, you know, keep our, because we maintain a pretty, you know, some Patreon is a pretty substantial part of our income, and we
or at least a not insignificant
part of our income. So we want to make sure that our patrons feel like we are giving them worth for their support. So and that's the thing. And, you know, learning he's getting antsy, learning, you know, working on the skills that go into that. Like, you know, our last album was recorded, mixed, mastered, everything in-house. We did everything in the RV. You know, there's no going out and finding a studio. There is me figuring out what I need to do to produce, record, mix, and master this whole thing.
This is not, I work 2 days a week and I just play all day at the Ren Fair. Like, that's and also for people that think that working at the Ren Fair is not work, you try working a 10-hour day in a corset in 150-degree heat, okay? And keep it and smile. And then you guys sing. I can barely stand up and breathe, and you're singing. Like, it's amazing. All right. So what other things? What are other things you want to debunk?
A debunker people would be surprised by?
We're like, I think there's a lot of because, like, you see a lot of, like, if the Ren Fair is going on, you'll see a lot of people that look maybe a little bit different than the mainstream. but also like there's so many walks of life out here. Like we're pretty mundane. Like you won't, most people don't recognize us like when we're just out and about.
Yeah. Like we, you know, we're not like the typical like hippie look that people think of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not all like hippies but there is some of that, but there's also like there's pretty much every walk of life exists in this space.
Yeah, like the breadth of
and it's also, I'm loving the shift in racial demographic. It used to be like you would see very few people of color. You're seeing a lot more of that. It's so good.
We have a cast member, like, not only who is a woman of color, but who is wearing like traditional cultural garb.
There's an African contingent on the cast here.
That is fantastic. In Texas. You're in Texas at the time of this recording.
Playing a group of Africans.
Amazing.
Diplomats or
diplomats.
Amazing. I have to say that I've noticed that as well. Like at New York, I've noticed like a couple years ago, I was like, wow, I never really noticed that there were any people of color at the Ren Fair. And now we're seeing so much more diversity, and not just people of color, but we're seeing, you know, queer community showing up and enjoying themselves. And we're seeing people gender bending their cosplays and feeling comfortable and happy and joyful in these spaces. And more importantly, feeling safe. And that's the beauty of, you know, the world that you guys are helping to create. We do have to kind of wrap it up because we're getting a little over on time, but
sorry.
Oh my God. If I didn't have something else to do after this, I would stay talking to you the whole time. But a couple of things before we wrap up. Could you give us a little bit of music, something short and sweet, so that we could just get a sampling of who you are musically?
Well, how about we just give them a little bit of the journey?
That's what I was thinking.
One of the songs that we wrote.
It's an original, and it is
I gotta turf you, buddy.
It's kind of become like a really like meaningful and descriptive song. Like I have the main line of it now tattooed on my shoulder.
Tell me.
The line is, it's all about the journey. And then the rest of that line is not the end.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Because we don't want to. I know. Big thing.
There
we go. F sharp, because for some reason F sharp is our key.
Oh yeah. When a soprano and a baritone.
Is you're not tuned to E? Isn't everybody always tuned to E?
Right.
I mean, E flat is E minor is the spooky key, you know, that's like the spooky moody key.
So this is like between this one and Best Damn Life, which is another one of our originals. Both of these can be found on our newest album,
which is called
The Journey. Which you can,
the title of this
which
song.
You can find a little pitch. You can find on our website, roverswaymusic.com.
Yes.
It is also streaming.
Yes.
I don't like to talk about that much though.
Well, let's hear a little clip of the song, and then we'll talk about where everybody can find you and where to download and all of that jazz.
Yeah, let's give you a little first verse.
Little taste.
Little taste. Let's take a trip together to a place we've never been. The road is calling out to not delay. We'll take the path less trodden when the wind is at our backs. We'll sleep under the stars at night and walk by light of day.
Have no destination, for the goal is not the point. To go and see what life's just down the bend. We plant the fear of mystery, keep us rooted from the course.
For it's all about the journey, not the end.
Oh, I need a clap track. I need a clap track. It's beautiful. And I feel like I'm not at all getting like how amazing that it like it's so amazing, but I know like live or actually through really recorded microphones it would be like even 100 billion times better. But thank you for sharing that with us, and thank you for sharing your story with me and your journey, because really we are all on a journey, and we learn from each other's experiences, and we find these places where even through our differences, things like music, art, magic, compassion, they show us where we are the same. And so like I appreciate you so much telling me and our audience about your whole amazing life. So where can we buy your music, download your music? How do we support you? How do we come see you? What is your show roster for the next couple of months? Like, tell us.
Yeah.
Well,
we are currently at the Scarborough Renaissance Festival in Waxahachie, Texas. We are here every Saturday and Sunday, plus Memorial Day Monday for the next
until Memorial Day
Monday. So it's 5 more weeks. 5 more weeks, and then from there we immediately we will like pack up the house and we'll be leaving that Tuesday, because we open the Kentucky Renaissance Festival in Eminence, Kentucky the next weekend.
So at the time of this recording, which is April, you are in Texas. This episode is going to air in June. Where are you going to be in June?
In June, we will be in Kentucky. I will be there for 8 weeks, starting first weekend of June,
and then we'll go in through July 21st.
Yeah,
I believe
it's just
something along
it's
those
8 weekends from the
first weekend of June. Our entire schedule can be found on our website. roverswaymusic.com. Also on all of our social media platforms. We tend to update our calendar fairly regularly. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube to an extent. We're very bad about our YouTube. And TikTok. All of that is at Rovers Way Music.
roverswaymusic.com. And if we just go on any social platform and go Rovers Way Music, you are there. It is you. It is Matt and Keria.
That is us.
Unbelievable.
And patreon.com /
Rovers Way Music. Patreon is the best way if you want to find us, get exclusive content, and support our adventures, and get a little bit of our adventures with you, because we do exclusive videos, we'll do interviews with people, we'll send you postcards, depending on your tiers. So we get all kinds of stuff.
Amazing. I love you so much.
We love you.
I'm so grateful that you spent this time with me. And we'll put all of your information on the show notes, so that if anybody is looking, they can just go to the show notes, click, go buy their music, go download their music, go see them somewhere. We talk a lot about supporting local business, right? Support local stores, support local authors, but support independent artists. Okay. These people are making music and art and joy and love out of their own pockets and out of their own hearts for you people. Okay. Like go. And also, by the way, I have your Yule album and it's fucking fantastic.
Oh my God, that album.
You just like it was his first ever like attempt at self-recording,
and it was so good. I just want everybody to know it's really, really good. Okay. So we'll put all that down there. Everybody can click and go and see and visit with you. And like the likelihood is that Rovers Way will be in your neighborhood at a local Ren fair is high. So go look at their schedule and then go to the fair and meet all the awesome people, put money in their hat, give them love. The end. No. So, okay. Last question. And I ask this to everybody that comes on the show and has nothing to do with music or whatever. Okay. It's my signature question. If you could have me make you one magical meal as a kitchen witch, what would it be and why?
I want your magical lasagna.
Yeah. Oh God. Yes.
But there's a tag to that, and that's only if she wants to.
Oh.
So when you come up, I have to make it, but gluten-free lasagna, because you're gluten-free like me.
I am.
Yes.
Yep.
So we'll make that happen.
I love that.
Meat or no meat?
Meat is great.
Meat is great. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna make like a meat sauce, a lasagna with maybe some spinach and ragout and some fresh basil.
Are you making a dairy-free ricotta? Because I know you're dairy-free.
I'm recently dairy-free, which fucking blows.
I can only imagine.
It fucking blows. I have found a dairy-free ricotta that's actually
Love it.
pretty good. But
Nice.
I wouldn't subject you to it if you didn't have, like, if you didn't have to be dairy-free.
I
I
want to
would.
make sure you're eating what you can eat.
Oh no, I would make something for. This is for you.
Aw.
When you come visit, you always
Yeah.
have a place to stay. You always have a place at my table. Always, 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 always.
But we'll have to make sure I can get some of my brother's wine to bring.
Yes.
Yes, please.
My brother's a vintner in Oregon, so yeah, I'll have to make sure I get
In
something nice.
McMinnville, actually.
Yeah.
Yes,
where,
please.
where the indomitable Courtney Weber lives.
Oh, Courtney Weber and our friends over at That Witch Life.
I love it.
They're
Yeah.
the best. They're the
That's
best.
actually how I found out you went dairy free, because the most recent episode that you did with them, which was like maybe Thanksgiving time.
Yeah.
You had said that you had recently had to go dairy free, and I was
Yeah.
like, no, don't.
Yeah, it's
so
it's the
sorry.
worst. It's the worst. But I'm still, making it work. Matt and Keria, Rovers Way, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being here. Thank you for sharing your story, your journey, your music, your love, your magic, everything. I heart you big time. Until next time, everyone, I wish you so many blessings and so much gratitude.